All right, for YouTube, the highlight of the session and blew up this chart about icebergs, not getting into too much detail of what everything shows, but this green line showing us icebergs, which just mean there's more than meets the eye. Tip of the iceberg might be what the guy is showing, but he's got a lot more to buy because it's green. So after it was all said and done, if you look at this number right here, he did 970 contracts. Now, that wasn't always 970. That was a couple hundred or 500. And 175, this number right next to it, was how many he was showing, which is generally a pretty strong probability that he's showing a lot. He has a lot more to do. And so the market, we knew this iceberg was there as the green line started to print, will run away typically from icebergs at first, but they'll draw them back down. And I had said, because this 175 number that he's showing is much bigger than average, that he's got a lot more than just a few hundred or 500 that he had done. And I said, we're going to come back down to it. And this is like 3 or 4 points from here where my cursor is to here. And they're going to, the market's going to find out that indeed he's got a lot more to do, and it's going to run away from it. And it's exactly what happened. Now, it doesn't feel like being that right is a good guess, because you take number one, the fact that a lot of people will, when they see an iceberg or feel like there's an iceberg, will run away from it, but then always come back as a magnet. But when they see there's a lot more than meets the eye, they're going to run away from it again. The shorts will then puke and say, oh, they can't get it through it, so they got to run away. Ultimately, he stayed there, and ultimately he got filled, and ultimately it was the 970 he filled, and then that created some downside. But it took this, run away from it, come back as a magnet, realize, holy, you know what, he's got more than we thought. Shorts puke it all the way up to here. This came down faster than I thought. I said it'd be a magnet, but I didn't think it would come down that fast, that quick. It did. Still was a magnet, but I did say below it, you start to create a bearish bias, at least for the time being, right? Chapter by chapter by chapter. Even if you don't trade chapter by chapter, you got to follow it. So even if you're not a shorter time frame trader, it behooves you to follow short time frame price action, order flow, icebergs, big buyers, big sellers, where they come in a way to find where other people are stuck, might puke, might get worried, and things like that. You know what happens is you get the shorts that they puke it all the way up to here, and then it goes down. How many times people listening to this video are short, market goes up, you get stopped out, and then it goes straight back down. As soon as you get out, the market goes in the direction you originally thought it was. That's how markets move. And so you want to watch other people and that emotion that they're running through instead of it always being you. But this was a very interesting iceberg because he was showing a lot more than normal. And he ended up doing a lot more than normal. And that's what ran it away. Ultimately, what brought it back to it and then sent us lower a few more points. Hey, Dave, if you're still there, could you scroll it forward to show what it did after it leaked through this iceberg and filled them?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's good.
There you go.
So the downside continued to be the right side. Keep going. And it shows some temporary resistance with no coincidence when it gets back. So this is 36. Watch as he goes. Watch the first attempt at 36 even. After it is able to find a bid and re-rally. It didn't hold for resistance forever, but there's no coincidence. Keep going. It took a little longer. There's no coincidence right there that it stops and rotates down from 36. There's no coincidence that this market, where there was old, interesting price action, is going to use that as subsequent support or resistance. Resistance in this case. You know, so I said something that was interesting and a lot of people reacted to it in the room, is that there's two things about anything that's valuable, anything that's good, especially in trading, in this case, order flow. There's the camp of people who see really interesting stuff, but don't know what the hell to do with it. And then there's a camp of people who would know what to do with it, but don't see it. And so you have to really overlap. There's always a sweet spot and an overlap. And in that overlap is where your success and consistency and confidence could come. Seeing the right stuff, but knowing what to do with it. And Dave's been excellent in taking a lot of this MBO data, knowing what to do with it, knowing what filters to address to it, which is asking the right questions, filtering it out, and then just being overlapping what questions, the appropriate questions then to ask when we see it, so that it's not just seeing the right stuff, it's knowing what to do with it and not being in one of those two camps that aren't going to get you anywhere but frustrated. Have a safe weekend. Wear masks if you want to, and if you don't, I don't care. A lot of people are, got to wear a mask, you don't. You know where I am? I don't care what you do. I'm only responsible for me and my kids. Same thing in your trading. You're only responsible for the decisions you make. Don't blame other people. Be safe, be good, have a great weekend. We'll see everybody Monday.